In this video, you're going to explore some other new array methods in ES6. So you're going to create an array, x, and then carry out a few activities using those new methods. So you can notice that we've got an empty element inside x, which I put there on purpose. So we're using the const declaration, but this is fine if you want to change things inside x, right? So this is very similar to when you are changing properties inside an object. You can still do that to a constant object. All right, so now let's find the first element, which is greater than 6. So to do that, you would need to use a method called find. So this method will take as a parameter a function which will test the elements of the array. So this function will return a boolean, and the first element which fulfills the condition is going to be returned. So we want the first element greater than 6, so our function is going to be like this, returning value greater than 6. So the first element which fulfills the condition is 7, and that's the one that we've got returned. Now, if you want to return the index instead of the value, you just use find index instead of find. And that's the index of the first element fulfilling the condition. All right, so now let's move to the next one. So we want to find the first element, which if added to its index, the sum is smaller than 5. So now again, we're going to use the find method, but this time we are using the index as well in the condition. So basically, you can pass two elements to your function, or two parameters. The second one is optional, and that's the index. So we want the value plus the index to be greater than or less than 5. All right, so let's try this and see what we get. We're getting undefined, and that's because no element inside the array fulfills this condition. So if you change 5 to 6, then obviously the first element is going to fulfill the condition, and you're going to get 5 as the result. Okay, so now let's get the index of a certain value. So to do this, you use index of. So let's get the index of 7, and that's 1. Now you can check if a certain element exists inside the array by using the includes method like this. So if we try 2, it's going to return true because 2 is there. All right, so now let's do something new. So we're going to copy in position 1, which is 7. We're going to copy the chunk between 0 and 1. So that chunk. So we're going to copy that chunk in that position. All right. So to do this, we're going to use a method called copy within. So first, let's log x to see the current value of x. And we're going to use x.copy within to copy in that position this chunk. So we're going to start with the target, number target, that's going to be the position. So in our case, 1. And we want to copy the chunk from the index 0 to the index 1. So the starting index is 0 and the last index is 1, but we're going to need to use 2 because the last one is not included. All right. So let's log x again. So now x is 5572 because we copied that right there. All right. So these two are replaced by 5 and 7. All right. So now let's copy in position 2 the chunk between 1 and the end. So position 2 is right there. And we're going to copy the chunk between 5 and the end. All right. So to do this, the arguments we're going to pass to copy within are going to be as following. So we're copying in position 2. So that's our position. So the chunk between 1 and the end. So if you place 1 only without saying what the end is going to be, then it's going to carry on till the end. So let's log x and see what we get. So we copied in position 2 from 5, all right, till the end. So we're going to go to position 2, which is that one, and we're going to copy from there to there. So 7 becomes 5, and 2 becomes 7, and we reach the end of our array. So we can't copy 2 right there because we don't have any other places available. All right. Now let's try something else. So let's copy in position 3 the first value of the array. So to do this, you only use the position, which is 3. And this will imply that you're just copying in position 3 whatever you've got as the first element of the array. In our case, 5. So let's log x and see what we get. And this is what we expected. All right, so now let's move to something else. So we want to fill our array with 4s from position 1 to 1. So to do this, we use the fill method. So you specify the position, the value. So we want to use the value 4, and we're going to fill from position 1 to position 1. So the starting position comes next, and the end position comes after. So we're going to use 2 here because the last position is not included. So if you say from 1 to 2, it means from 1 to 2 not included. So from 1 to 3 means that is going to be 1 and 2. All right. So in our case, from 1 to 2, meaning that is only position 1 to 1. So if you log x, then you're going to see that we filled x with the values 4 from position 1 to position 1. So if you try 3 there, then you're going to get from position 1 to position 2. So let's leave it like that for now. Now the next one, we're filling x with an object from position 2 to the end. So x fill with this object, all right, from position 2 to the end. So if we don't specify the end position, then it carries on till the end. So let's log x and see what we get. So we started from position 2 and we carried on till the end. So now something interesting. So what if you check if the values as position 2 and position 3 are equal or not? So let's find out. We are getting true. Now, what if you try this, but this time using those object literals like that, and you're getting false? Interesting. So the reason why we're getting different results is because when you copy this value inside x, or the array x, you're actually passing a reference only of an object. So the same reference is actually being passed to the elements as position 2 and the elements as position 3. So here you get true because you are passing a reference only. So this is the same as if you were creating a variable y where you store your objects, and then you were passing the objects like that. So you're passing a reference to this objects in memory. It's absolutely the same. All right. So let's keep it as it was. So hopefully this makes sense. Okay. So this was a quick overview of some new methods of arrays in ES6.